What is going on, everybody? Michael Price here with episode 5 of Calling All Bowlers. How is everybody doing in Facebook Live, YouTube Live, and we're even on TikTok Live right now? Just want to say welcome back. It has been a minute. We hope you guys are enjoying your Saturday. And for episode 5, I decided to go local as far as guests go. I want to welcome in one of the most sweetest people I've ever met in my life and somebody that has never met a stranger in her life, Miss Michelle Oxford of Newmarket, Alabama. Michelle, welcome to the show. I'm so glad you're on here.
Thank you, Michael. Appreciate you inviting.
Well, Michelle, why don't you tell us a little about yourself? We obviously know you like bowling, but why don't you let everybody know some of the other things that Michelle likes to do?
Oh, Michelle likes shooting. She likes fishing. Uh, been a military wife for most of my life, adult life anyway. And I tell you what, bowling's just an fun.
How long have you been married?
I have been married 36 years. Come June.
Woo, 36.
Right. I was a child bride.
Well, I'm not surprised by that because I know John personally, and John is a hell of a guy.
Yes.
I love you both. I just want you to know that you guys
Thank
are awesome.
Right back at you, Michael.
So, being in the military, I'm going to presume that you've kind of been all over the country. Why don't you tell us a couple of places you've been?
Well, I was also an Army brat and swore I was military. So, uh, Fort Bragg, which of course that's changed names. We don't need to go there. Uh,
Mm-hmm.
we've been to California twice. We've been to Texas. We've been to Washington, D.C., Georgia, uh, lots of places, but overseas as well in Germany. So,
How was Germany? Tell us a little bit about Germany.
well, my mom was German, so it was a homecoming of sorts. My grandmother, when we first got married, my grandmother was still living, so we were able to go and see her a lot. She would spend 6 months out of the year in Germany and 6 months out of the United States with my parents. And it was easy. I speak the language. So John used to joke and say, I married her because she was going to be my translator when we got her. So I knew how to say bread and beer. So that's it.
Well, he's a smart man for marrying you.
Well, thank you very much.
so, so you've been to numerous amount of places, as you worded it, being an army brat and what have you. Um, how did you end up in Newmarket? How did you end up in Newmarket, Alabama?
Uh, John got stationed here at Redstone the first time in the late 90s. And then we left. We moved to, that's when we went to Fort Leavenworth Camp. And then when we left there, moved to Vandenberg Place in California, and then went to Texas, he put in to come back because we just think it's God's country. I can't think of any place else to live other than the Huntsville area because it's just a beautiful place. Um, and then he asked, he said, well, can I get there? And he came home and said, now don't get your hopes up. But lo and behold, the God smiled upon us and we got to come back
And y'all been here ever since?
and been here ever since.
And how long ago was that?
2009, we came back.
Okay, all right. So y'all found a home, and is it true y'all have a ranch?
Well, we lived in a subdivision first.
Okay.
And that got a little out of hand with the homeowners association. Some people get to follow the rules, some people don't. And he said, and he grew up on a farm. So he had said, start looking. And every time I'd send him a listing, nope, can't put a shooting range in. Nope, don't like that. Nope, not enough acreage. And then finally we found this place out here in Newmarket. And that's all she wrote. And we've been happy, loving it ever since. And we got a little
Yeah.
farm, got chickens and dogs and cats and alpacas.
I was about to say you got the what's that other one, and there you did. You went ahead and said it. Okay. So you guys, you end up, you find your place in Newmarket, Alabama. Um, Tell us about how bowling factors into this whole equation.
Well, we have a friend, Jim, who also bowls on um, the Monday afternoon senior league. And he helped us with a lot of wiring and running power places and making barn doors and stuff like that. And at some point, we fished with him a lot. And
Okay.
we were out fishing one day, and he goes, "Hey, why don't you come join a league?" At that point, before COVID, John was, obviously working 5 days a week. After he retired from the military, he went and still he's working on Arsenal. And he asked me, he said, "Why don't we got a bowler that can't bowl anymore. Come on." I said, "You don't want me bowling." I said, "I mean, I stink." And he said, "No, no, you don't understand. It's a recreational league. We'll have a good time." So I said, "Well, okay, if you're sure, no judgment, I'm in." So that's where that whole train wreck started, because it's become an obsession.
Why do you call it a train wreck, Michelle?
Because, I started out just kind of happy go lucky with a plastic ball and shoes. I even came into the pro shop and said, "My shoes dry wrong. Michael, can you help a sister out?" you,
And I remember that too.
you new shoes, and I started bowling. I was horrible. By my standards, I was horrible. They kept telling me, "No, no, it's handicapped. It's handicapped. Don't worry about it." But uh, it just kind of flawed. I just loved it, and my team was so encouraged, and I just kept plugging on and doing things that you're supposed to do to get better, and got me my first bowl. I had the full drill, the full finger grip, and then went to fingertip. And you, Michael, do you remember the first ball you recommended to me? The hammer rock?
Yep.
And,
Yep, I do.
and I still couldn't hook the damn thing. And
Hmm.
I had these men with big old fingers, sticking their fingers in the bowling ball and throwing it down there, and the thing was hooking because I thought it was effective. But
Yeah.
then you learn how to do it, and kind of snowballs, and you buy this ball and that ball, and yeah, it's like I said, it's become an obsession.
Okay. So obsession in what way? A positive or a negative way?
Positive obsession. You know, maybe it's not an obsession. Maybe I should call it an addiction. Uh,
I was not of
there,
uh,
there's a lot of things you could be addicted to, and I think bowling is the best thing to be addicted to.
oh, all right. I think we're back now. Can you hear us?
I can.
Okay. Okay, good. Well, me and you both, it was both of us that went out on that. I was telling people we're sorry about that.
Okay.
So hopefully we're good. Um, Also, again, want to welcome everybody. This is the first Calling All Bowlers that we're streaming from our TikTok Live as well. So I want to welcome the crowd from TikTok Live along with YouTube and Facebook. So, all right, well, let's get right back into it here since we had a little bit of a drop right there. So, overall, how did you what what about like when you got into bowling? Like, was it a night out with friends? Was it just like a social gathering? Was it a party?
No,
Or tell us a little bit about your first experience in
my,
bowling.
my first experience was totally a social gathering. It was a group of kids from college that decided, "Oh, we got nothing better to do. Let's go bowling." And back then I even liked it. And I guess because I had gone a couple times, and the one of the girls that I was bowling with, Audra, she said, I think I left what is it? The two on the right, where the ball won't fit. And I remember her
Yeah,
like,
6'10".
yeah. And she said, "It won't fit. Throw it in between there." And when you make that thing, I was like, "Whoa, whoa, what did I just do?" And then I think it was probably 6 months after that, it was my birthday, and those gals and one of the boyfriends got together and bought me a bag of ball and shoes. Plastic ball. I mean, what did I know? I didn't know nothing. And then I'd bowl with them occasionally, and that was pretty much. And then when we were stationed when we got to Germany, when the weather's bad, we decided we'd go bowling. Most installations overseas have bowling alleys, and I mean, it wasn't anything
Right.
serious. It was just me and my husband, the two of us, and it was just an easy, fun thing to do. And then we got to Fort Leavenworth, and I bowled on a league, and some ladies said, "Let's do this." So, well, okay, and it was fun, but it wasn't anything that I was stuck on. Nothing that I wanted to do all the time,
Right.
which is what it's become now.
Okay. That leads me into our another question I have for you. Is there a difference in bowling centers, bowling alleys, from the states versus international? Like, like I said, you were in Germany. Is there a difference, or is they all pretty much the same?
They're all pretty much the same.
Okay. Okay. All right. So you join up. You do this league venture here. Jim talks you into it. What were your first impressions of being a league bowler, being in a league overall?
I will tell you, I was very nervous because I didn't want to let anybody down. But again, every encouraging. It was kind of a natural place for me to be. And Michael, I've told you this 1,000 times. The people are amazing. The people you run into. Um, my social circle has grown exponentially because of the people I bowl with and the people I meet at practice. Even when I come up to Penn Palace and hang out with you guys, there's somebody bowling 2 lanes over. Hey, it's nice to meet you. I hope we can bowl together sometime. We went out to the Bowl Madison to bowl
Mm-hmm.
on pattern for the tournament that I bowled in last weekend. And there were 2 young men next to us that were bowling, and one was a Madison cop, and I don't even know what the other young man did, but they were like, "Will you guys come out here and bowl again? Dude, you're so much fun bowling next to you." Where does that happen?
And again. And I'm back. I know everybody on TikTok can still hear me. All right, I think we're back again, Michelle. Hey, no, this is just a part of the show. Sometimes these mistakes happen, and things happen. That's what makes this show great. So
Right?
we're gonna get back into it. So you were talking about. Well, I was gonna get to the tournament. I was gonna ask you about the tournament. So check it. So we're going in. You tell us about your first impressions of league bowling. You're nervous. As you have gone on this adventure, what were some goals that you had put together for yourself? It could be short term or it could be an overall long term goal. What were some of the goals you had in mind?
Well, first and foremost, obviously, to become a better bowler, because there's no point in buying equipment, buying bowling balls. I mean, they're not cheap, but every ball has a different place in your bag, and I want to be able to utilize my equipment to the best. I mean, like I said, I just want to I want to be more consistent. A lot of times I'll bowl and I'll have a 210 game, and then I'll bowl a 168, and then I'll bowl a 138. And what the heck? I don't get it. I don't feel like I'm doing anything different. Obviously, I know. Or the flip side it works in the opposite way. Sometimes I go 168, 78, 198. That's what I want. I want to get better or at least be within 5 or 10 minutes of the game previous.
Right.
So if that makes sense, that's what
No,
I'm.
no. When it comes to working with new bowlers and recreational bowlers specifically, I try to keep the goals like very reasonable and obtainable. For those that come in, and they're expecting the average, like, I want to be 220, 230. Again, when you're starting out, and again, the way the game has expanded and evolved over the course of time, it is much easier to bowl consistently all the time for 6 months, and you can average 200 no problem. If you really like, again, just like your amount of like, time and effort that you put into it, of course. I mean, again, life happens, stuff of that nature. But if you're really putting it into it, I usually, I'm the point to that is you can go incrementally like 5, 10 pins at a time, maybe during the whole season, 1 or 2 pins here and there. That's always another obtainable goal when you're starting out. So again, what you're looking to do is not out of the ordinary.
Yeah, I
So
believe.
no, go ahead, finish.
No, I believe exactly what you're saying. Last year I had a setback. I had to have my knee replaced. I had my knee replaced in May, and I thought, 6 weeks, I got this. And I'll tell you what, I went for my 6 week follow up to the doctor's office. I had my bowling balls in the back of my car because I was like, dude, if you don't tell me I can bowl, I'm gonna have a meltdown. And I'll tell you what, my bowling improved. If you believe it, it wasn't my plant or my slide foot; it was my right foot. But I think it slowed me down, which got me time. So you can't always look at something. Oh, this is a major setback. No, actually, it wasn't. Maybe those 6 weeks gave me time to slow down, rethink. I read a lot of books about bowling, which some people that I read books about bowling, but I really did. I did.
Well, what are some of those books you were reading during your downtime?
Oh, you're going to ask me to read the titles? No, I don't remember the titles, but um, Bowling 200 is one of them that's on my end table right now, and it talks about how to consistently bowl the 200. I haven't had that happen in quite a while, but Rule of Seven is in there, which I didn't know anything about that. About how many boards are between, how many inches or boards are between the center of your head and your shoulder, and
Right.
what standing way far left and then walking like a drunken sailor to the right and throwing the ball. So I just learned a lot. And there's a lot of people that cannot believe don't read books about bowling. That ought to tell you it is an addiction.
Mm-hmm. Oh no, absolutely it is. I can remember back when I was in my like early to mid 20s, and I was at the bowling center all the time. It was like every minute I had free time, I was spending it in a bowling center, and you know, just being able to get out there and practice and work on just work on yourself. And it's one of those things, you make a good point. Is it becomes such an obsession, but it's a healthy obsession.
Exactly.
Of as long as they line up with your goals. So no, that's very good point you're making there. So we're getting through to the point of how many leagues did you bowl in the fall?
Two.
Okay, how did those end up for you?
Very good. Let's see. We're in middle of the pack on the Monday league, and that's a big league. The Monday afternoon senior league is a big league, and
Absolutely.
team 16, 15, 16, somewhere in there. And on the Wednesday morning league, uh, we came in first, and we repeated. We did that 2 years in a row.
Ooh, okay, 2 years in a row. You said you
Yeah.
won which league?
The Wednesday morning,
Wednesday. Okay. All right. So what'd you end up with average wise?
I think 171. I think was my average for that league.
Was that part of your average goal? How'd you feel about your game?
Oh, I was very confident in my game. Absolutely. I had that league. I had the highest game I ever bowled, and I don't know. It was well. Plus the people I was bowling with, it was just a fantastic group. So encouraging.
Never mind. We All right, I think we got dropped again, Michelle. So can you answer that question for us again, please? I'm sorry.
Well,
Uh, Talking about how your the average, what you end up with average wise, and was it to your
oh,
was it your expectation?
oh yeah, that was. I think I had a 171 that league, and um, I had bowled the highest game I ever bowled, and I'm sure that had something to do with it. But I tell you what, that team was just amazing.
Right.
It
So
was
what?
one of those leagues where if one of us was down, there was always somebody to pick us up. You know,
Right.
they carried us. And the next week, maybe that person was down and somebody else picked up the slack. It was just a beautiful league to be in. Beautiful team.
So you said you had your highest game in that league. What was that highest game?
A 255.
Ooh, okay. Uh, what ball were you using?
I was using the Black Venom from Motive.
Ooh, okay. Yeah, well, being your pro shop operator, you are the motive woman.
I am.
So tell us a little bit, because brands have, you know, they have their way with certain types of bowlers. What is it about motive that drew you to that brand, and you know, what is it? What is it about that brand that drew you to them?
I,
I'll stick
I
right
was
there.
We're not going to ask me this question because this is so dorky. Um, they have a ball called the Shock, the Venom Shock.
Hmm.
Had a snake head on it. When I saw that ball, I thought that is a cool looking ball. And then I started reading about the ball, and people were referring to it as the goat. This is the goat.
Right.
Yeah, that I kind of want that ball. And now the funny thing is, I don't use that ball. Very rarely do I pull that ball out. Um,
Right.
I, that the black venom is asymmetrical. That one is symmetrical, and I think an asymmetrical ball just suits me a little bit better. But that's what it was. It was a snake head, colorful, and I feel so stupid question in that manner. It wasn't, I wasn't looking at the words that you use, RG, the differential, and all that stuff.
Right.
But it was a good ball for me to start with, and then just kind of stuck with them. Um, who was the fellow that used to work? Was it Chris that worked
Yeah,
in the?
that was Chris. Hmm.
He said that some people stick with one brand. He said some people use all brands of bowling balls. And
Hmm.
so, do you have an opinion? And he goes, well, if you like it, stick with it. So I did, and I haven't looked back. And they're made in the USA. Big deal. For
Okay. Okay. So I'm gonna bring up a comment here from Zach, and he says you can read that.
yes, yes, that's nice of him to say that.
Well, I totally agree, because it's just one of those things. It's like, and I think when it comes to learning, we are all scared at first because we do not know what to expect. We don't know. We have no control over it. And us as human beings, we like having control. We like feeling like we have that sense of not feeling vulnerable, learning how to do something new.
Right.
So, Zach, I appreciate your comment there, sir. So, you said you went out to Bowl Madison, and you had the you said you were bowling in a tournament.
Yes.
It was this your first ever like competitive tournament?
No, actually, I think this is like my fourth or fifth one.
Okay. So tell us about the experience out there. Like, how did it go? Like, what did you end up doing?
Um, it was okay. Like I said, I had gone out there to practice because they had put the oil pattern down. Um, it was tough. I mean, a typical house shot is totally different than when they put out, what we were bowling on Stonehenge, or
Hmm.
foot pattern and a 35 foot, different patterns. It's very difficult, and you're totally out of your comfort zone. Again, the people I bowled with, it was the state mix. I bowled with my husband, Carol, and Patrick. And
Okay.
again, very encouraging people. I did okay in team, Did better in doubles. Um, Singles, meh, it was okay. But again, I was there for the experience, and I was there because bowling people are just amazing people.
So you would consider yourself along the lines of an actual true recreational bowler. You are there for the experience.
I am 100%.
Would you ever consider maybe bowling in a pro am one day?
Yes, actually, I would. I,
Oh,
I would.
well, the reason I ask is because recently up in Smyrna, Tennessee, the PWBA, they were up there, and in the coming weeks, our future guest, we actually had a past guest and an upcoming future guest actually took place in their PWBA pro am, and they got to meet like a lot of the women up there, the Professional Women's Bowling Association, and I've heard nothing but great experiences being able to do those pro-ams.
Yeah, I would.
And it yeah, I think that's something you should consider doing when it's like in Nashville. If they have another stop, I really think you should do it, Michelle. I really think it's only going to add to your overall experience.
Oh, I would love it. I thought you were going to say it would be dudes and I could bowl with EJ Tack, but that's
Well, I mean, do the pro-ams too. You can always bowl with EJ Tackett. It might be again, that's one of those that's one of those maybe long term goals. You get to meet EJ and you get to actually bowl with him and pick apart, pick his brain.
exactly. Yeah, I would not. I would not be adverse to doing something like that. That would be spectacular. That would be a dream come true, actually.
Okay. So tell us right now, past or current, what is Michelle's favorite bowling ball?
Oh, it's either the Black Venom, but right now, after the last couple weeks bowling with that Evoke, the beach ball, yeah, that thing's got it going on. The
Why do
Black
you
Venom,
call it? Why do you call it the beach ball?
because it looks just like a beach ball to me. When you walk into Penn Palace, you got that little display, and I look over
Mm.
at a bowling ball. It's a beach ball.
And we might be early. Sorry about this, guys. Hopefully, we'll get Michelle back here in a second.
Uh,
Looks
Here,
like everything is coming back into focus. It only happens whenever you open the door and come in. But that's okay.
who's oh,
All right.
who's
So
getting the
we're
blame?
waiting. I do apologize, everybody.
Who's getting the blame, Michael?
I'm going to take the blame on that one because you came back
Open
and you're
the door.
completely clear, crystal clear. I was talking to Curtis when he's coming in here to check my TikTok
Oh,
comments and everything, and when he opened the door and shut it, everything just kind of went.
we should have known.
So no, that's okay. So okay, guys, like I said, everybody watching, do apologize. Um, so you talked to us about your tournament experience. You talked about your favorite bowling ball. Um, Here's a question to for me to ask you. What is something you would recommend to someone that was in your
Uh-oh.
and we're back again.
Hey.
I'm going to take the blame on that one. Curtis didn't go in and out on that one. So a little bit more. All right. So, all right. I'm gonna ask this again because I'm sure you weren't able to hear it because I probably couldn't even hear it on mine because I went out just like you did. Yep. Zach said we lost you, Mike. Yeah. Well, we should be back now, Zach. All right. So for somebody starting out, what is something you would recommend to anybody that is looking to start in the area, kind of like how you came into bowling?
First and foremost, get lessons. You can start. You walk out there and you can figure it out, but where you stand and what you see is different than when you're in the foul line and you're looking to throw the ball. Two different things. You need somebody that can explain a lot of things to you. Watch your arm swing, watch your balance. There's so many things that go into throwing a bowling ball correctly. I just wish I had one coach instead of the 50 that I have when I bowl league. I have 1,001 people telling me, "Oh, well, you did this, or you were off balance, or you stepped off." Or again, I think getting a good instructor and teaching you how to bowl correctly before you develop all the dumb bad habits that I developed
Right.
and that I had to unlearn.
So I think you kind of went out a little bit. Were you trying to say that people needed to find a coach and take lessons?
Absolutely.
Okay, that's what I was thinking. I was like, and then you were about to say it, and then it's like the screen froze, and I was like, "Yep,
Oh,
I think she was going to say lessons."
yeah, absolutely. Speak to both pro shop, talk to the man, and get set up with a proper course of attack.
Okay, so how many lessons have you taken? Like, and from how many different coaches?
Let's see. Can we count Don Ware as a coach?
Yeah, absolutely.
Okay. Then between him and uh, probably 10, and it wasn't enough.
And it wasn't enough.
10 wasn't enough.
Well, it's one of the things I've always tell people, and I know you've heard me in the pro shop tell people this too, is you're going to have a million voices like in your ear,
Right.
and it's up to you to be able to decipher one or two people that you really trust. And I even tell people I'm working with, it's like if it doesn't have to be me. Like pick one or two people and really put your trust into them, and you're going to be able to see yourself in a different light. You're going to be able to see what you're trying to accomplish, from a different perspective.
Correct.
And because if you're getting like a million and one, uh, perspectives, you're only going to confuse yourself.
Correct.
It,
Agree.
it, it makes it just yeah, it makes it easily confusing for a lot of people. So
Yeah, you got that right. Now, if you're with a group and somebody said, "Boy, you really drifted," that's one thing. But when that same person says, "You drifted, and here's what you need to do," that's two different things.
yeah, yeah, and again, it's just like it's one of those things in my experience. I used to run a youth program when Parkway was still around, and I literally made it a point to when I was putting the program together, I involved the parents because again, you have to have the parents' support in order for you to get your message across and for it to be reinforced through them. And
Right.
another part of that is the coaches that I had. I wanted to make sure that the coaches were all on the same page because the last thing you want is for you to confuse your youth bowlers with four or five different things from four or five different coaches. And I would literally have a meeting every week before with all the coaches, with all the parents, and say, "Hey, here's the game plan. We want to be able to put, we want to be able to put your child in the best position possible to be successful."
Yeah.
So, and I think that rolls over into again working with somebody, that is just recently got into it in the last couple of years.
Right.
So, getting into that leads us into bowling clinics. How many of those have you taken?
One.
You've only
And
taken the one I did?
the one you did.
Yeah.
And I learned so much from that. Can't wait for you to do another one.
Well, you're going to get your wish because coming up on Sunday, July 21st, I am going to be doing another one.
And guess what? You aren't
And you're
being,
going to be there.
oh, 100%.
Well, I can tell you this right now. I know between you, did you say John was going to do it again?
Yeah, he's in.
Okay, so you and John, and I'm also got Dustin and his two boys. I think they're wanting to do it too. So that gives us at our five minimum, and hopefully we got more that want to come in and do it. So, but just letting everybody know, if you guys want to participate in this clinic here in the Huntsville area, I'm going to be running it on Sunday, July 21st from 12 to 4 p.m. And it's going to be $75. We're going to have the classroom. It's, Michelle, you're going to be involved in it's going to be the classroom environment. There's going to be a couple of different things from this one that differentiates from what you saw in the last one.
Yeah.
But a lot of it, and I always tell people that, having a refresher isn't always a bad thing either.
Oh, you got that right. Yeah.
So, no, absolutely.
And
So,
if you don't do the clinic, for everybody that's watching, you're missing out, because what a I didn't know what I was getting into for the first one. I wasn't going to do it. And John was like, come on. And at the last minute, I said, well, all right, I'll go. And buddy, what an eye-opening experience that was. Geez, the stuff you covered, and a lot of the mental part too, which is the part I need the most help with. The mental part, just getting better.
I tell people all the time, mental is so important. Like, you can have the physical skill set, but mental is so critical. It just, and another thing I recommend is, one of the things I recommend, I was like, get into reading books. Like, and that's what you've been doing, of course. You already talked about that. But it's like reading books, educating yourself, asking questions.
Right.
I think one of the I'm not going to say downfall. I think that's too heavy of a word. But in my experience, I think one of the things that have negated bowling in general is just it's the lack of people cheering each other on and wanting to help each other be better.
Right.
And what was so with that one clinic, Michelle, what is the one thing about that clinic when you took it? What stood out to you on that?
Oh, one. I got to pick one. Come on, Michael. First of all, the PowerPoint presentations, everything was, I thought, honestly, I'm being honest with you. I thought, I got to sit through a PowerPoint presentation. And then you start, whoa, wait, what did you just talk about? That's a multifaceted question.
Uh-oh.
Because.
And wait a minute. All right. Let's try that one more time, Michelle. You were getting ready to get into something good, and then it went out.
It was just your presentation. It was about encouraging people. It was talking about don't get inside your head. It was being natural about the whole process, and it is a process. And I learned so much from that, and I'm so glad that at the last minute I decided, I'm not going to get left behind by my husband. He's going to be 6 steps ahead of me. And he joined a year behind. He was a year after me joining the bowling. And I think which is really chapping my butt, but that's a whole nother story.
Well, and the thing about it is, I tell, again, to add on to the points that you made, encouragement is so important.
Yes.
Again, you have to be positive even in the most negative of times. There's always a positive to find, is what I mean by that.
You got that right.
And I've always told, I've told you this numerous times, and I'll tell everybody out there that's listening to us. The mental game is the most critical part of the bowling game there is. Again, physical, you can have a limited physical skill set. That's fine. And again, that's proven through point of reference of coaching, because I have worked with so many different types of bowlers and styles, and one-handed and two-handed, and like low rev rate, stroker, tweener, cranker, what have you. I've worked with all of them, and the biggest thing that is just the one that's just all of it that's in common is it comes back to, where is your head at?
Right.
And yeah, and it's one of those things, like Dustin and we were discussing on a previous episode of the Damn Good Average Bowlers podcast. It's all about being 1% better every day.
Yeah.
You can always find 1%. You can always find 1%. It's easy to slide back like 20%. That's easy. But being able to advance, in what you're trying to do goal wise, whether it's accomplishing a goal, bowling a high game, bowling a high set, placing top 5 in a tournament or top 10, or just, whatever those may be, it is just the mental game is critical into accomplishing those goals that you have for yourself.
I couldn't agree more, Michael. And I'm going to add a little bit to this. The 10 pin. Once I want to be that person that doesn't freeze up. Oh, heck fire. I got to throw it a 10. I want to be that person that walks up there and says, it's a 10 pin. Easy peasy. I got this. I think it was last Wednesday. I had no problem. I think I missed one. Wow. I don't know what the heck happened. But then the next day I go bowl the following Monday, and can I make one? I was intimidated. I don't know what it was. Couldn't do it. But that's another goal that I have. I don't want to miss 10 pins. If I miss one, fine. But I don't want to be that one doofus that misses them all the time. It's just a pin. I can do this. I know I can.
All right, Zach's got another question for you, okay?
Oh, what is one thing I do? Lift and fall.
That is a great question, by the way, Zach. I just want it to be known.
It is. Lift and follow through. You've got to have a follow through.
Start to finish.
Start to finish. Exactly. And I think that's what I do. I think I short it on that 10 pin a lot of times. You just got to take a bowling shot, lift and follow through.
Okay. So we're getting close to the end of our episode here. So, Michelle.
Yes, sir.
What is one accessory in your bowling bag that you cannot live without when you go to league?
Are we talking wrister, or are we talking anything but the wrister?
It could be anything. Anything that is in your bowling bag. Like you're going to league to bowl, it's got to be in your bag.
Got to have my wrister. I have.
Why is that?
I have a weak wrist, and then I missed bowling in the city tournament several years ago when Sean asked me to bowl in that, and we fast. It's better now. I think I could do it without, but it's my security blanket. So I have a wrister.
Okay. Let me go back here before we get to the ending here. How long ago did you have your knee replaced?
May 9th of last year.
Okay, so you're over a year. You're over a year since.
Correct.
It took you 6 weeks before you even tried to throw a bowling ball?
6 weeks and 3 days.
6 weeks, 3. Boy, you got that down to a science, don't you?
I do.
So you're doing physical therapy, I'm presuming.
Not anymore.
Well, no, not anymore. I'm talking about in that, like, you just got your knee replaced.
Yeah.
You're doing PT.
Yeah.
Take us through. So this is more of like a mental question. So you obviously know you can't bowl, and you love bowling so much. So from a mental perspective, what are you going through at that point after that knee replacement? Like, what is going through your head? How are you processing not being able to roll a ball, do something you enjoy doing?
Actually, that's really a simple question. When I went into PT, and the bunch I went to, the group, the TOC group I went to, was really spectacular. And they pretty much asked me, kind of like the questions you're asking me, well, what are your goals? Dude, I got to get back to bowling. That's what I got. And they said, willing to put in the work. And I said, I'll do whatever you tell me to do. Now, I honestly said, I ain't doing this shit when I'm I'm not. Okay. But they told me, they said, if you don't do what we say, it's going to be a long road. And I did everything they said for me to do. And I did it at home too. I did heel slides and lifts. And I mean, Michael, it's a weird experience when you get back from the hospital. You can't will your leg. You can't lift it. It won't go.
Right.
And I'm just thankful. There's a lot of people who have knee replacements that don't do what the doctors say and the physical therapist. They whine about not being able to do it. I did not want to be that. So that's my story about that. And am I glad I had it done? Absolutely. Absolutely I did.
I'm sure it feels great not to hurt anymore too, don't it?
Absolutely. Yeah.
Well, the reason I asked what I did about that is back in 2007, my grandfather had his knee replaced, and he was 6 hours post op, and they had him up and moving. Did they do the same thing to you?
Yep, sure did.
Had you moving, huh?
Had me moving, but I still had a nerve block, so nothing hurt.
You had a nerve block. Uh huh.
Yeah.
How long did that wore off?
Oh, that 24 hours.
Ooh, was it? Was it like Was it like Welcome Back to Reality?
Yeah. Um, you need to ask John about this. Me laying in the bed crying. I mean,
Yeah.
no pill was going to touch it.
Right.
Oh, I laid in that bed and cried. And
Right.
done that. I figured I'm German stock. I got this. What?
But
Knee replacement. This is gonna be easy. Yeah,
right.
absolutely not. I wouldn't wish it on my. It was that bad. I mean, it's
Wow.
all so they saw all up in there.
Yeah.
But am I glad I did it? Yes, and I understand now why people go back and have the second one done. Luckily, the left one's fine.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Well, see, yeah, you got lucky in that it wasn't your sliding.
exactly,
So,
exactly.
but that's a funny. The funny thing is, I'm glad you brought that up. That it was your right one. I tell people all the time, for a right-handed bowler, your right knee is just as crucial, if not more crucial, than than your left foot that you slide on, because and little tip of the day for everybody watching this, your right foot actually helps you keep yourself balanced more than your left.
Yes,
And I know that might be, somebody might disagree with that, and that's a okay. But I can tell again from experience, like when you get down, that right leg for a right hander is what is keeping you being able to maintain that mobility.
right.
So I'm
Oh,
sure that was a challenge in itself when you were trying to get back into it after that surgery.
exactly. And I think, like I told you earlier, it slowed me down and it made my balance better. If that's even a thing, I still can't believe that's what it did. But my balance is so much better, and I don't step off the shot as much as I used to.
No, absolutely. No, it's funny in the sense of having you talk about having your knee replaced. When I'm coaching, when I'm giving a lesson, the last thing on people's mind is the position of their legs. Like where they're at in tune, and you could tell right off the bat. You know, they'll fall off to the side, and it's like, hey, your balance is not really that great. Here's a couple things we can do to work on correcting that and making it better for you. But I think another thing that helps in any regard, and I think you said it earlier, like you're able to be more balanced. And I would think, and you can confirm or deny this, but I would think that is because of you're not hurting.
Yes.
I think that's the number one thing. When you're not hurting, you're going to be more focused and set into the goal in hand, and that is just one of the things that's just what it is. It's going to
You're
help.
right. You're right, without a doubt.
All right, so the last thing we're going to talk about here before we call it an episode. So a lot of people may or may not know this, but Michelle and her husband John were some of my participants of the season finale of the Hot Sauce Spare Challenge from season one. You guys can view that on my YouTube channel if you want to see it. There's also a highlight clip, and there's the actual full live that we did. So Michelle, you being what'd you say earlier about the 10 pin? You like, you kind of just made you anxiety ridden.
Right?
Okay. So you agreed to do this hot sauce challenge with John.
Yes.
So was that you convincing him, or was he having to convince you?
No, that was me convincing him. That was totally me.
Okay,
Now he would probably, if he were sitting here, he'd probably disagree. But he was like, "We're gonna do what?" And I said, "Come on, it'll be fun."
right,
And it was. It was a ton of fun. I'd do it again. And I think if anybody you invite that watches this, they need to do it
right.
because
Uh,
it's fun.
we got a guy named Joel on. I was just on one of his live videos on TikTok before you and I came on here to go live, and he saw the video of Dustin and his teammate Greg, which is season 2, episode 1 for everybody. You can go out there and check that out on the YouTube channel. Um, and he saw it. He was cackle laughing just as hard as I was during that episode. So, with that being said, so you're doing the challenge. You get to the bomb. What are you thinking?
Lord have mercy on my soul. Is it gonna hurt tomorrow?
Dustin commented on our TikTok live and said it was so much fun.
Right?
Yeah. Curtis says he disagrees.
Oh, he had a good time. I he had
so so how long was that how long did that hot sauce stay with you?
2 days, man.
2
Two
days. Oh goodness gracious. You
two days.
you couldn't eat anything without feeling that like remnants of it.
Well, Michael, see, I used to be really good at eating hot things. I loved hot stuff. And I think the older I got, man, that stuff just don't like me. Man, pepperoncinis don't even like me anymore. So it was really brutal, and it did last 2 days.
You sound like my mom because when I remember when I was younger, my mom she would eat anything spicy. I mean, at will. And now it's like, hey, mom, try this. She's like, get that out of my face. She's like, no, thank you.
Exactly, out of here.
Hmm. Well, all right. So you're willing to do it again? I think we're going to come up with some sort of little thing. So if you watch that episode of Dustin when he did it with his teammate Greg,
I
Greg
watched.
Greg did not flinch. He had no reaction to the bomb or the end, either one of those hot sauces. And of course, again, you can you know don't watch that episode with your kids because once Dustin got to the bomb, he went into a very not safe for work, profanity laced rant.
No, I saw it and
Hmm.
pain 100%. And I bet it stuck for 3 days as opposed to my little two.
Well, he didn't even drink milk. He didn't even drink milk. He was drinking that aloe vera. I'd never heard aloe vera juice. I'd never heard of that until
Hey,
he brought it
right?
up. And yeah,
No, I missed that part.
yeah, no. If you go back and look at that video, you'll see him like, dude, he is chugging. He is chugging that aloe vera juice. And I was like, I never knew that was a thing.
I didn't either.
All right. Well, we're at this time, Michelle. This was an absolute blast. I know we had our drop offs and everything, and again, part of the show. It's part of the experience. And if it's the one thing I like about it, it's the fact that it's authentic, it's genuine, and it basically shows everybody a life lesson out here that stuff happens, and it's how you handle adversity. Which I think that ties into our lesson of the day here is how do you handle adversity? And I know you remember my speech from the clinic is like, how do you respond to adversity? How do you respond to the fact of, you know, Michelle, I tell people all the time, and you're probably gonna like just like snark at me for this, but I tell people all the time, one of my best games I ever rolled was a 209.
No, I won't snark at that at all.
All right, well you're the first one, so thank you.
Now, listen, um, this has been an absolute joy. Michael, you talk about keeping it real and being genuine. You are a
Uh-oh.
genuine.
Here we go
I,
again, folks. Hey, say that again. You got to absolute joy.
you are an absolute joy, and I wouldn't trade you for anything. You are a great coach, great human being. your content is above and beyond. You know you've got a subscriber in me, and if people aren't watching, they're missing out.
Well, that means a lot to me, Michelle. I really do appreciate it. Again, when I didn't really have a direction for this brand when I founded it back in 2021, but I think as time has gone on and I've slowly but again, 1% better every day. It's just in
Yep.
small doses and small increments. It's like finding your footing and, figuring out a path. And again, thank you so much. I am truly honored by those comments, Michelle. I really do appreciate it.
Have you
And that's what I'll leave with everybody here is that I don't care how many negative experiences I have ever come across in the entire time of bowling, and I've been bowling since I was 5, and I'll be 40 this year. But no matter what, all the positives have made up for any of the negatives that have entered into the fray. So, Michelle, thank you for that. I really do appreciate it.
You are
And
most
again, like I said, you and John, I love you both. You guys are wonderful people, and I'm really glad that I know y'all, and I'm really glad no matter how many interchangeable thumb salts you bring my way, I will always drill those for you. I will do that no matter what.
touche.
I will do that no matter what for y'all. So give old John a big old hug for me and tell him I appreciate it. And again, Michelle, thank you for joining us on Calling All Bowlers. And everybody out there, I hope you enjoyed it, despite all the technical difficulties, of course.
Right.
And Zach, I'm going to leave the comment up here. Zach said, this was great. We appreciate it, Zach. And here's another one for to end it here. He wants Curtis and Dustin so bad for the hot sauce challenge.
Ooh, maybe we should do that in teams. Maybe we should do Curtis and Dustin versus John and Michelle.
Hey. Oh, here's another thing, too, letting you guys know out there on TikTok and YouTube and Facebook. So coming up this Sunday, actually, so tomorrow, excuse me. So coming up tomorrow, we're going to have episode 3, season 2, episode 3 of the Hot Sauce Challenge. It's going to feature JC Campbell and Kelly Smith. They are engaged. So they're going to be another couple that's going to be on to give the Hot Sauce Challenge a shot. And then the week after Father's Day, I'm actually having a father and son duo come on and do the Hot Sauce Challenge as well. So that's going to be great.
Beautiful.
So thank you for giving me a segue into that, Michelle. I appreciate it.
Welcome.
So, and just to let you know, again, as we go through the guests, I can guarantee you are going to be invited back for round 2.
Okay.
And I'm sure I'll have Dustin on here, and it'll be a nice little conference, type call and what have you. And I'm going to leave it with this. Another comment from Zach.
Yes. Thank you, Zach. I appreciate you big.
Well, all right, guys. Michelle, thank you as always. I appreciate you and everybody out there, TikTok and Curtis, everybody at TikTok, Facebook, YouTube. And if I don't do this, Curtis is going to give me a dirty look the rest of the night. Guys, go to TikTok, follow me there, subscribe to the YouTube channel, like and follow us on Facebook, and follow us on Instagram. And hopefully I did that to the liking of Mr. Right out here. Yep, I'm getting the approval. So we got 2 thumbs up. Michelle, seriously, thank you so much. I had fun. Thanks for talking to us.
Anytime.
And, we'll see you out on the lanes. And everybody out there, you have a good evening, and we'll talk to you soon.
Right. Love you.
All right. Bye-bye.